You know that hollow pause when you finish something and the next thing you do is not to celebrate or continue, but to check for validation. A like, a message, a comment, a nod. That impulse to wait for external approval feels small, but it quietly steals energy, slows your decisions, and makes every win depend on someone else saying good job. This video gives you a compact, science-backed 3-step ritual you can perform in 30 seconds. Observe, unhook, anchor. That turns the immediate hunger for approval into an internal, stable signal of progress. So you move faster, feel steadier, and stop letting other people's reactions control your momentum. Start with a short truth. Seeking approval is a normal social strategy. For most of human history, social acceptance increased survival odds, so our brains evolved circuits that treat social feedback as safety signals. That biology still works, but it wasn't designed for modern feeds, notifications, and public metrics. The result is predictable. When you finish a task, dopamine spikes with the anticipation of reward, and the fastest, most salient reward in our environment is social feedback. The trick is not to shame yourself for wanting it. The trick is to redirect that ancient safety system so it supports your goals instead of hijacking them. The 3-step framework I'll teach you, observe, unhook, anchor, is short, repeatable, and built around 3 neural mechanisms you can deliberately engage: affect labeling, prediction error via novelty, and reward revaluation through immediate microfeedback. Step 1. Observe, 5-8 seconds. The neuroscience is simple. Naming what you feel recruits prefrontal regulatory networks and reduces amygdala reactivity. When the approval itch hits, stop and say one sentence out loud or in your head. I notice I'm waiting for approval right now. Use a neutral voice. Don't argue with the thought or add, I shouldn't be like this. The point is to convert raw emotional pull into describable data. That simple act converts a habit-driven reflex into something that consciousness can act on, and that reduction in emotional intensity creates the space you need for the next move. Step 2. Unhook, 12-15 seconds. You need a fast physical or cognitive interruption that creates prediction error, a tiny surprise that breaks the loop between craving and action. Do one of the following immediate micro moves. Snap your fingers twice while taking a slow exhale, press thumb and middle finger together for 5 seconds, or deliberately change your posture by standing if seated or sitting if standing, and stretching your arms overhead for 3 seconds. At the same time, say the single word anchor own quietly. Why this works? The tactile or vestibular novelty creates a mismatch with the brain's expected sequence and momentarily reduces the motivational pull of the social reward. The verbal anchor ties the new state to language, which strengthens prefrontal engagement and makes the sensory interruption repeatable. Keep the interruption short. The goal is to create a micro gap where choice becomes easier. Step 3. Anchor, 7-10 seconds. Immediately replace the external feedback loop with an internal immediate micro reward that your brain can consume instead of social likes. Do one tiny, meaningful act that confirms progress and gives a small dopamine hit that you generated yourself. Examples: say aloud done, and place the completed file in a designated done folder. Tick one checkbox with a deliberate pen stroke. Close the document and set a 1-minute timer labeled breathe, or take a single deliberate sip of water while visualizing the task completed. The micro reward must be immediate, sensory, and under your control. This is reward revaluation. You teach your brain that completion itself carries a reliable, repeatable signal. Over repeated acts, the brain begins to expect and value the internal reward, and the need for external approval diminishes. Practical script you can memorize and use anywhere. 1. Observe. I'm noticing I'm waiting for approval. 2. Unhook. Snap twice plus exhale plus whisper. Own. 3. Anchor. Done. Plus tick/check/put in done folder. Time needed: about 30 seconds. Do it every time you catch yourself checking a feed after finishing something. How to stack this into existing habits? Pair the routine with an anchor you already have post-task. For writers, after you save a draft, perform the 30-second ritual. For emails, after sending, do the observe unhook anchor before you open the feed. For creators, after you upload or publish, close the tab and do the ritual before seeing metrics. This reduces the Pavlovian loop between action and feed. Short rehearsal protocol for habit formation. Intentionally trigger the ritual 3 times per day in low-stakes moments for 5 days. During each rehearsal, note the immediate shift in urge strength, rated 110, and the time before you next checked for external validation. Rehearsal lets your brain encode the pattern when emotional stakes are low, so it's easier to execute when stakes rise. Variations for different contexts. If you're in a public meeting and can't snap or speak, use a subtle tactile press, thumb to index finger, plus a slow exhale and the internal whisper "own." If you're in bed and the need for approval shows up, roll onto your side, press your palm to your chest, silently say "done," and imagine placing the task inside a locked box. If your triggers are chronic, for example, work that relies heavily on public metrics, combine the ritual with structural changes. Block notifications for the first hour after publishing, or schedule a metrics check window once per day to reduce continuous scanning. Why this is not willpower theater? The method leverages predictive processing. Your brain learns sequences of states and becomes attached to predictable outcomes. Social feedback is a salient outcome, but you can reprogram the brain by consistently replacing the external outcome with an internal sensory outcome that is quicker and more reliable. Affect labeling calms the emotional intensity. The sensory interruption creates a prediction error that opens a choice window. The controlled micro-reward gives immediate reinforcement for the alternative behavior. Combined, they change both momentary choice and long-term preference. How to measure if it's working? Use a simple 7-day tracker. Each time you perform a task that used to trigger seeking approval, mark whether you performed the 30-second ritual and note whether you checked for external feedback within the next 10 minutes. Count reductions in checking frequency and increases in uninterrupted work time. Most people see measurable drops within 3-5 days and durable shifts after 2 weeks of consistent practice. Common stumbling blocks and fixes. It feels fake to give myself a small reward. That feeling comes from decades of habit. Practice overrides that skepticism fast. Start with tactile, unavoidable rewards. Putting the file in a done folder is physical, so the brain experiences the contingency. I still want approval for big wins. That's okay. The ritual is about daily habits. For major milestones, allow social sharing intentionally and schedule it, but still run the Observe Unhook Anchor first to confirm you're sharing from a place of choice rather than craving. I forget to do the ritual. Use environmental cues, a sticky note on your monitor that says "Own it," a small visual done tray on your desk, or a shortcut key that moves files to the done folder and triggers the ritual. Make the surrounding environment support the behavior. Advanced tweak for high-variance creators. Add a second-level cognitive reframe after anchor. Once you've completed the micro-reward, take 10 seconds to say one sentence that reframes the output's value internally. "This created evidence that I can ship," or "This was progress towards skill X's." This builds a narrative of internal competence that accrues across outputs and reduces future reliance on external signals. Visual metaphors for the video. Start with a split screen of 2 people creating, one chasing likes and frozen, the other closing tabs and moving forward. Then show a clock-like 30-second dial overlaying the ritual, tactile icons for snap press, and a glowing done box filling when the anchor is performed. Keep graphics minimal and human, hands, small objects, checkboxes. Final micro-challenge to try for 14 days. Every time you finish a discrete unit of work, perform the 30-second ritual. Log whether you checked for external approval within the next 10 minutes and rate your mood after the ritual on a 1-10 scale. At day 7, reflect on any reduction in checking and increases in flow. At day 14, decide on one structural change, notification block, scheduled check window, or a visible done tray to reinforce the new pattern. Closing tone. Wanting approval is human, changing who validates you is a learned skill. The Observe Unhook Anchor ritual is not shaming. It's a tiny, kind architecture you give your brain so you can be the reliable source of progress and the governor of your own momentum. Try it for the next hour. Do one small task, perform the 30-second ritual, and resist checking your feed for the next 10 minutes. If it lands, tell us the task and how long until you felt satisfaction without external input. Your example helps normalize the practice for others. If you want a printable cheat sheet with the exact phrasing, timing, and visual cues, like the video and subscribe, there's a pinned comment with the one-page PDF. Go test the ritual now and see how much a single half minute can change the rest of your day.